Moving on to my favorite part of this booth, and I love it all, but reaction figures have struck a chord with me. It's like 30 years in the making. We're revisiting almost the toys that were my first toys in life, Star Wars and Battlestar.
Are you going to get apoplectic?
No, but
okay.
I have to tell you that to see this and to be able to put, well, not Breaking Bad, but maybe the Karate Kid into my kids' hands to see what, you know, Dad played with, it's kind of cool, actually. And I know that the fans just eat this stuff up. The first lines are amazing with Famous Monsters and Back to the Future and Predator, Terminator, and now we have a whole bunch of new licenses, and Cameron's going to talk about them forever.
I'm really excited to show you guys reaction. It's something that we weren't really sure what was going to happen when we released it originally. So we're excited to show that you know, we have a lot of new licenses and we're working with a lot of new figures, and we're really it's exciting for us because we get to marry the old nostalgic packaging and idea of like the Kenner, like, you know, older figures, and you know, tie that into newer licenses. So you have Breaking Bad figures that, you know, had that come out back in the day, probably would have been packaged like this, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's that kind of a franchise, but we're also excited because, you know, we can do older things like the Karate Kid, and now we have Arrow and Flash coming out later this year as well. And so, you know, if you look closer to them too, they have a lot more detail than it might appear at first, just because, you know, I believe, like, you know, it was more crude maybe back in the day, the way things were molded or created. So, you know, some of the things I'm really excited about the Breaking Bad ones. I think they're really distinct, and they definitely tell the story of the characters.
The fact that there's a Gus Fring action figure is outstanding. And the multiple versions, obviously, Walter White are fantastic, and as Heisenberg and Jesse Pinkman.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a phenomenal show with a phenomenal opportunity here. And what really catches my attention with the reaction figures is exactly what you said, where the detail is so strong on them, yet you've managed to capture what the figures would have looked like 30 years ago.
Yeah, they even have their own accessories to a degree. Like one of my favorites is Walter White from the first episode of Breaking Bad. It's just so
in his underwear.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great, and he has a gun, and like there's a duffel bag for Jesse over there, and yeah, I mean, it's just, like you said, yeah, it's just taking this nostalgic feel to characters that are really current and new.
Here are the keychains.
Distinct.
And it's great because you can visit properties that exist now, but then you can go back in time and revisit some all-time classics. And the next one you guys are going to talk about is Karate Kid.
We have Karate Kid coming out.
Mr. Miyagi action figure. How long in the making has that been?
I think so.
It's almost like you have to do it. Right?
Yeah.
We're playing with this. I don't think anything that it's just someone's. As you can see, here's another perfect example of the new and the old. So we have Karate Kid, and then we have Tomorrowland, which is a movie that's coming out later this year. And, you know, once that comes out, I would imagine people feel the same way we're talking about Breaking Bad being those characters, how they would look in that, from that era, how they would look in that toy. But yeah, I mean, there are just, if you're making characters, or if you're making products like this, you kind of have to do Karate Kid. You kind of have to do, like, Star Trek is next. You kind of have to do some Star Trek, you know.
It's always surprising when the
You even gave Daniel his trophy, so there you go.
And then it just sounds really, really long. You're like, it's strange. And I don't know why I can't.
Mr. Lawrence, Cobra Kai, never die.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. I had to interrupt. I'm sorry. I just got real for a second.
That just got very real. No, I appreciate it. We need a dose of realness.
That was some bad acting.
I know. But, you know, I got to be honest. A John Kreese action figure,
it's time.
It's time.
You channeled it.
The world needs it. Yeah.
I mean, come on. And look, Ralph Macchio never looked as good. These are amazing.
Even the trophy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
And Johnny Lawrence. I mean, come on.
Although you could have put blood on him.
You know that Johnny Lawrence, right, was the real hero of the movie, right?
Why is that?
Because he was the kid with the horrible, you know, father figure coach that was kind of abused, and, you know, he was forced into fighting Daniel and hurting him. And he overcame.
All right. How many times have you seen The Karate Kid?
50, easy.
Wow.
Yeah, easy.
You should be you should be institutionalized for that.
Probably.
Okay.
If you ask me how many times I saw the next Karate Kid and I said 50, you should institutionalize me now.
That's fair. That's fair. We can all agree on that one.
But again, Tomorrowland 2.
Tomorrowland,
ladies,
yeah,
you're going to have your first
George, a newer license.
Yeah, your first George Clooney action figure.
Fair enough. Yeah, we're just excited to, like I said, just branch out and take some risks and do stuff that's just like, you know, it's so current, like newer things as well as older licenses. So.
That movie's getting a lot of hype too. I think it's very cool, and again, you know, adding Disney into this faction, it's very classic.
Opens up a lot of
possibilities. I can't wait to see what comes next.
Does the George Clooney neck tilt?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
I'm only sure. All right.
They were peg based, Russ. Seriously, they were peg based. So I got.
But George's neck isn't, because if you notice, well, anyhow.
And that's what I'm hoping is going to come out eventually. Our Seinfeld reaction figures.
Oh man.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many licenses we can toy around with based on what we have for Pop. It's just exciting.
You made a pun. You made a toy pun. Toy around with.
Toy around, man.
All right.
All right.
So then over here, it's just basically just stuff that is, you know, older, but stuff that is necessary. So we have Boondock Saints over here. We have those pops coming out, but it's so conducive to the reaction line that we thought we needed to do that as well. Scarface, got to have that one coming out too. And then we have the one I love all the reaction stuff, but I was blown away by our Fifth Element line down here. As you can see, there's a lot of character detail.
It's a great movie, really.
Yeah, yes. I mean, there's just so much attention to detail on these guys, and that's it. I mean, I can't even really say Fifth Element's a cult classic because it's loved by everyone, but you know, there's definitely an audience that really is devoted to it, so it's exciting to be able to get that out to them as well.
And they missed the boat, honestly, when the movie came out. There were no toys, right?
Yeah. I mean, now now it's time. Now we're doing it for reaction.
Yeah. And I can't imagine you couldn't be happier about this line.
I mean, we needed to have Star Trek. You know, we needed. We're going to have our season 1 come out, or the series 1 come out in February. The second series come out in June. So, you know, like I said, there are just some figures that you have to do if you're going to do, you know, figures like these.
Bones McCoy looks outstanding. Laura looks outstanding.
The Spocky ears are great.
Yeah, they did Vina. I mean, the green lady is like the myth.
That's
The
awesome.
magical myth of Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
So much to the point where she's in the reboot. It's a true classic.
Oh yeah, exactly.
When do these hit?
So the first series hits in February, and the second series hits in June.
Okay.
So some of these might be out already, or they'll be soon to come out.
Gotcha. Now, this figure that's coming up next blew my mind. I don't think in my lifetime I ever would have thought that there would be a figure of, you know, Robert De Niro as Taxi Driver.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, Travis Bickle, man. An action figure of Travis Bickle.
I imagine there's a whole slew of people who've never seen Taxi Driver that you may actually be driving them to see.
You made a pun there. Driving them to see Taxi Driver. All right. But yeah, I mean, like we were really excited about this because iconic movie, you know, great performance obviously, but it's just such an iconic transformation between where he starts and where he ends, and you know, as you can see, he has a couple of pistols with him in there, so
he's a little crazy. We could say that.
He's got a couple of things going on. Then we have Scarface as well. This is just kind of like Murderer's Row over here.
Right.
So yeah, we just, and then there he is, guns loaded. And then we have Big Trouble in Little China. We have that in Pop as well, but again, more conducive to the reaction line in a lot of ways.
Now, is this because you had to have something of Kurt Russell because he's made 3,000 movies?
You caught us.
They did escape from New York already.
So you already had Kurt Russell.
Yeah, we're slowly getting through all the Kurt Russell.
You will be doing that for a lifetime.
Oh my God, we'll do. Yeah,
Miracle.
Yeah,
Miracle Kurt Russell.
Miracle, yes.
It's only a matter of time, honestly.
So this line, this is a movie that, again, it's hard to say. Is it a cult classic? Is it a fan favorite?
Yeah.
You know, it's been a while since I saw it, but I can tell you, without question, I remember Kim Cattrall's performance in this movie, as well as Kurt Russell's, like I saw yesterday.
Yes, I agree.
So that's the thing, you know, and that's where I think you get people, because, you know, every figure that you picked is from an iconic scene in that movie.
Right.
Without question, when they see that figure, they're going to say, I know exactly where that was, I know exactly what...
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even the weapons that they each have are distinct to their character. Like, it's just fun to be able to have this stuff. And actually, like, this line especially has so much detail in the outfits and the costumes, and I'm just blown away by it. And like you said, I'm not really sure if I could say it's a cult classic. Like, I'm just, you know, when we were putting it out, I was like, you know, I'm not sure what the response will be, but so far it's just been overwhelmingly positive.
I can imagine.
People love that film and are just diehard fans. So.
awesome stuff. Now, the one we didn't get to see in display is another one that I kind of flipped out about, and it's Gremlins.
Oh, Gremlins, yeah.
Now, I have to ask, because what we see isn't packaged, and the display looks phenomenal, but are the Gremlins going to be packaged separately, or are they going to be packaged with a figure?
That's a good question. That's something that I think they're still trying to determine.
Okay.
I would imagine that it will be multiple Gremlins or a Gremlin with a figure,
Oh, that would be great.
because, or I can't imagine we would be doing individual Gremlins. But you never know. I mean, we could do one that's all the Gremlins, or just pairing them like that. That's something that we're still trying to determine. So.
All right. Sounds great. I can't thank you enough, Cameron. This has been phenomenal. And again, keep your eye out for the reaction figures. They are outstanding. Outstanding.